Hey everybody, it's John Kadlic, the CEO here at Parallel Path. I'm on my latest edition of a trail talk here at Quarry Trails in Upper Arlington today with my longtime and good friend Matt Mizer from GSW and GSW New York more specifically, and looking forward to today's conversation. So Matt, maybe just to jump in, tell me a little bit about what you're doing at GSW and your role, and maybe for folks that don't know who GSW is, what you guys are all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, John. GSW is a full-service advertising agency focusing on healthcare. We're actually one of the legacy ad agencies, an OG, if you will, because we've been focused on healthcare since the late 90s. So from there, we've been evolving and changing. I grew up with that company. We're a full-service AOR. We really focus specifically on solving difficult client challenges using data, technology, creativity, and human behavior. So traditional ad agency, just kind of right now we're in the midst of evolving our solutions to be a little bit more forward thinking, a little bit more data driven, and a little bit more exciting for our customers.
And you run the New York office.
Absolutely,
for
yeah.
GSW, right?
So for the past, 5 years I was in business development, and I spent my time kind of helping to get us new clients and convert them across all 5 of our locations. So through that I learned a lot about what clients were looking for, what their needs are, what they want from an agency, and I was chosen to apply that to GSW New York. So it's a big opportunity for me. It's been about 1.5 years, and so far so good.
Big city, big lights.
That's right.
I like it. Well, I know when you took over GSW New York, there was a lot of things that you sort of had on your agenda to change or alter, let's just say. So like if you're thinking about what you've done, maybe to help that office really reset and flourish the way it has under your leadership, like what are a few things that you've maybe done there?
Well, the biggest thing I think, John, was really to build back that culture of creativity, of innovation, of client satisfaction back to where GSW has been in the past. So GSW is a kind of an original OG agency in the health and wellness space. It was formed in 1977, and in mid-90s it really became health and wellness focused. And we blew up, right? We got pretty huge, and that was before, I think some of the other big consumer agencies started to see potential of health and wellness and started to spin off agencies in the healthcare space. So the competition skyrocketed, and I think during that, some of those places had a little bit more of an advantage as far as investment and everything. And we kind of fell behind. And I wanted to bring back that attitude we had, when you were there, actually.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while.
So bring that attitude back, especially in New York. And the first thing we did was remind everyone you're in New York. You're in the advertising capital of the world.
Epicenter.
The epicenter. And so if we're going to be there, there's nothing stopping us from competing with all the other agencies in that area and get that swagger back, get that attitude back, and really push that down to everyone. Like,
yeah,
it was sort of a leadership driven place, but I wanted it to be more, everyone felt like they could have an impact at what we could do, and remind yourself, hey, look where we are. We're on the 39th floor and the 40th floor of the Amex building on Vesey Street. The best of the best are surrounding us. Let's get in the game here. So the first thing we did was try and press accountability down, give people the freedom to make decisions on the brands they work on. Let them make calls. Not everything needs to be approved if we trust you. So we had to build that trust back with the people, get that competitive spirit back, and get the swagger back. That was the first thing. And the second thing was we needed people at the agency to see that you say at GSW you have a career path and you can succeed there and work your way up. I think it was such a transient environment because there's so many competitors around you can jump ship
right
really easily. And we wanted people to say, if you stay with us and you stay with us in New York, there's going to be great opportunity, and I'm going to get to do things that I wouldn't get to do elsewhere because I've got the accountability and I've got the ability to make the decisions and own my own work. So I think we've done that. We had, and I'll be honest, I don't totally know what these numbers mean, but which I shouldn't say, but we had like a 70% voluntary attrition rate the year before we got there, and it's down to 17%.
Holy crap.
After a year and a half.
In that market, that's extra impressive.
Yeah, so if anyone knows what that means, let me know. But I think it's good, right?
It is good.
Yes.
I can vouch for that. So,
yes.
Well, maybe a follow-on question. I've always thought of you as like this creative spirit, and you have always sort of championed creativity, but as you and I both know, sometimes in healthcare, it gets a little bit
Right.
diminished. Like there's too many guardrails, there's regulations, there's all these stipulations. So the playing field isn't really that fantastic. But I think you've done a good job sort of saying, no, we're not going to be limited by those kind of constraints.
Right.
So when I see you post about things going on in the New York office, what would you say is sort of recapturing the creative spirit or maybe pushing some boundaries that they weren't previously?
Yeah, I think the first thing is, yes, thank you for recognizing my champion of creativity, because I gave myself my own nickname, which is a big red flag. But it was, I tell everyone, like they call me Slash because I'm half client management, half creative, like I'm both.
So that's a compliment.
But I say that
unless you gave it to
I
yourself.
gave it to myself. and
Okay, well
everyone
that's
else
fine.
laughs.
That's fine.
Everyone else laughs, but the spirit is there, right?
Right.
Creativity.
Right.
But, I think if we can, I think this is the same for everyone. If you can get people to understand and embrace that, having rules and regulations is actually the most important thing that creativity can solve, in a sense. Like with boundaries and with rules that maybe you would think naturally would hinder creativity, that's when you need it more.
Yeah.
Because you have to find ways to work within that box but do it really well. So if we can highlight solving problems for our clients, make sure that everyone that does it gets recognized for it, and make sure we push that out and publish it, it kind of drives the spirit that's the currency at our office, right? Solving problems, being creative, coming up with ideas, and it's fun.
Yeah.
So we've been trying to do that. If you notice on our LinkedIn, we try to highlight everyone, and especially the more junior people who I think, when we were growing up in the industry, we got to do a lot of really important things.
Yeah.
We managed a lot of businesses that were huge at a young age by ourselves, and I think there's become such kind of layers and bureaucracy in the ad industry and healthcare that it minimizes what those folks can do, especially client management, who sometimes get relegated to setting up meetings, taking meeting notes.
Yeah.
Now we have multiple strategists that can take that out of their wheelhouse. So how do we kind of return that spirit back to the group is what we've been trying to do, but it's give those young people the chance to show off their experience, trust them, and let them grow, and then they'll stay, right?
Well, it's kind of always surprising that people stifle some of their younger folks and don't unshackle them a little bit more, because you never can see what is possibly there for them.
Right.
And how liberating is it for a younger person earlier in their career to have more latitude to do their things while still having oversight and leadership to turn to for advice, but not be so bureaucratic.
That's the idea. And what we did at GSW New York was we tried to create leadership levels at every level, so that no matter who you are, you have a say in the direction of the agency. So we have the executive leadership team that its job is to create an environment where everyone can do great things. We have brand leadership teams, which are 4-person teams that manage each brand, and you can only be on one, so that spreads it out so that every client we have has a unique leadership team. Excuse me. And then we have centers of excellence where anyone can volunteer and take the lead on a cultural issue or an operational issue. And we expect everyone to be on something, so it's working out well.
So staying on the sort of note of creativity and marketing and obviously the fusion of all this, like, are there some either clients of yours or just healthcare brands in general that you think are doing some interesting things in the marketing realm these days that are maybe, unorthodox or pushing boundaries, or just somebody you respect?
Well, without naming names, I think that some of the more interesting work are those that take budgets, and some brands have bigger budgets than others, obviously, some massive, some smaller, but use them for a personalized experience, use them to create a great experience for anyone on the product versus just firing out giant mass media TV ads. Mm-hmm. You can do so much with targeting, as you know,
right?
Being an expert in it,
right?
That do you need to pump all those dollars into that, or can you create more custom experiences for each person in engaging in the brand? And I think if you take those budgets, do more efficient targeting, and you take that extra funding that you have, and making sure that people understand your drug or device or wellness product, know how to use it, and know where to go if you have any issues, keep them on it is what I admire.
Yeah.
People that take a real authentic approach to their brands versus
don't paint
surface.
with a broad brush, kind of like be a little
or,
bit more targeted and personalized to
know,
everybody's need state or whatever you might assume.
I sometimes I feel like when I'm engaging with someone not in the healthcare space in advertising, I sometimes feel a chip on my shoulder or self-consciousness about describing what I do, because on television you see, every other ad is this stuff, and how many of them are authentic, feel like you, are different or unique.
Yeah.
Like, how many could you just switch the brand name out?
Exactly.
And they all have the same sort of vibe, and that I don't love about what we do. So
yeah,
at GSW, I think we push it a little bit, which is, there's a time and a place for that kind of work. Absolutely. Believe me, if someone wants to come and do a campaign like that, I'd be happy to embrace them. But I think you can do a lot with smaller budgets, with less budget, with omni-channel work that targets people where they want to see information, how they want to get it, and super literate, super connective. So,
yeah.
I think the brands that are willing to do that, or have to do that because they have no other choice,
right,
are the ones that I admire.
Sometimes it is the scrappier brands who are doing the most innovative things. They can't play by the same rules, they'll get squashed.
Totally.
So they have to be a little bit more unique. So, okay, well, what about as you look down the line a little bit, do you see any sort of interesting trends or things that healthcare brands or health and wellness brands are going to need to consider going forward in particular?
Well, I think the biggest one we're all dealing with, and I think people are almost tired of hearing about it, is, of course, what you think I'm going to say.
I'm going to say AI.
Yeah, AI. We're finding all these ways to use it, but it's happening so fast that I think many of our clients are trying to understand in healthcare, with all the rules and regulations.
Right.
How much can you truly automate? When should you do it? And how can you use it? There's some very simple things that we're doing. I'm very proud of our tech group, led by a gentleman named Brian Roman, who's come up with ways to create work faster. Banner ads, resizing of banner ads, like just simple things like that.
Routine things, just like...
But then, routine things, like make them quicker and more efficient, but then you have big things you can solve with data mining and understanding, how people are going to react to messages. And that's another place I think, personally, we're at the forefront of is, we have this thing called predictive storytelling, and what you're able to do is kind of put messages out there into this huge Syneos Health database. By the way, that's our parent company, and get incredible results of how creative will perform, how messaging will perform, how you can alter A/B testing really quickly to get the best results. So there's a lot there, but I've pitched it a couple times too, and I still see some of our clients kind of, I don't want to be the first in the pool or whatever. Is that a saying?
Yeah.
So, I think it's, when can this be effective? Who's willing to get on the forefront of it? And where does it take us all? We're right in the middle of that, which is super interesting. Yeah.
Well, in the space, it also is known to be sort of not the first to go. It's extra interesting
that's
to see.
Like the historical.
Yeah.
Who else? Whenever you're in healthcare and doing marketing ideas and stuff, very rarely do you have someone say, I want to be the first. They want to be the second. Right. They want to know that
who's done it safely and successfully, and then
did it work, and then I'll do it.
Right. Then I'll jump in the pool, as you're saying. Well, as you're thinking about, you're on the front lines, you talk to clients every day, and the sort of brand agency relationship is always a bit dynamic and ever changing. So what do you think brands, healthcare brands more specifically, are kind of demanding out of today's agency partners in your view?
Yeah, I think it's, there's a couple different facets to it, and one is the basics, right? It's great customer service. It's being Johnny on the spot when there's a need or a challenge or a market event that you need to react to. But it's also the basics of efficiency and speed and accuracy in the work. So if you don't get there right now, I feel like if you can't accomplish that, your account's in jeopardy right off the bat. If you can get that right, then you can start to focus on new ideas and innovation. But what they really want to know is, how is this going to perform? Is this going to bring ROI? Is this campaign worth it to us? Because they have less resources, usually human resources, less time, and they have the regulations that you spoke about. So how can we do all those things smoothly, efficiently, not jeopardize their internal relationships with errors and missed deadlines and all that stuff? But how can we bring new and different ideas that move the business forward? And they have to have metrics that do that. So we've bumped up our analytics group, as many have data science groups bumped up, because everything we recommend needs to be the best use of our client's budget. That every dollar has to go to finding the right patients that need these products.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's efficiency and proof of concept. And, our currency, like I said earlier, is always creativity. So, you kind of have to hit all three of those things, I think.
Yeah, I hear you. The accountability factor's never been higher in marketing. And I think, frankly, it's a good thing. People sort of shied away from that in historical generations, if you will, where it was more about, the big campaign idea or awareness metrics or impressions or things of that nature. But, as they say, that doesn't ring the register.
Yeah,
so
you used to be able to, you measured your campaigns. I'm talking like that guy. Remember the...
remember the days when...
yeah, right.
Maybe you could just tell me one thing you do to work on your own sort of personal health and wellness, given that that's a lot of what we're talking about today.
Right, so this is always a challenge for me, and I think the toughest one for me is the physical part. I travel back and forth a lot, so that's a lot of dinners out, it's a lot of entertaining, it's a lot of travel on the go and not a ton of time for physical activity. So days like this are great, but I think the biggest thing that I've been focusing on is just mental health. I am a big proponent for mental health. I have the worst anxiety. I've had it all my life, kind of manifested itself in high school. And when you have a job like this, where you have a lot of responsibility and you got to take care of a lot of people, it just compounds. And so, this is a new adventure for me. And one of the things I try to do is just take it all one day at a time. I have this kind of thing in my head where when things are going well, and they are, I'm always waiting for the next shoe to drop, or hey, God going, Matt, that's going too well, I better throw something at you. And sometimes that creates problems for me. So what I'm really trying to do is focus on living in the moment, realizing this is a goal that I've always had my entire life, and instead of looking at it like something to worry about, embrace it as this is what you always wanted. And sometimes it's just a reframing of when you walk out that door in New York City and you see the hustle and bustle and go, this is what I've worked my life for, embrace it. Look at the positive. This is, yes, it's pressure, but pressure is what makes it great. And if I had it the other way around, where I didn't feel any pressure, I think I'd be even worse. So a colleague of mine told me, a good friend of mine that helped me get to this spot, Amelia Kadlic, she just said, whenever I'm worried and I go to her, I don't know if I can do this. She goes, Matt, just do what you're doing, one step at a time, put your feet on the floor and do what you've been doing. This has been a job in the making. So it's just a bit of mental health reframing, I think, and trying to see it from the right angle, which is what an opportunity, what a blessing, and just have fun with it.
Well, good on you to be so cognizant that that's an important part of your life and career, and that you have some friends to support you and some mechanisms in place to think through that and just kind of reframe. And I think we all know that the mental and the physical all kind of intertwine. So
no, I need to get back on the physical part.
Yeah, we'll do that next time. But
the mental part is all consuming for me right now.
Well, so. and understandably. So, well, hey, it's good to see you again. I appreciate you spending time with me and doing a little walk and talk like this. And for you guys, appreciate you tuning in. And we'll see you out on the trail here again soon with our next Trail Talk. Take care.